Chapter 4137. Chase him. Don't let him escape. That little brat must die. The great art of destruction and the others roared furiously as they chased after Lu Ming. Especially the great art of destruction, he was furious. He wanted to crush Lu Ming's bones and scatter his ashes. Last time, Lu Ming had escaped from him. This time, the three great protectors had joined hands to attack Lu Ming. They had thought that Lu Ming wouldn't be able to escape. But in the end, Lu Ming had still managed to escape from their encirclement. Moreover, he had escaped in their direction. That was a great humiliation. If he didn't kill Lu Ming personally, he would become a laughingstock. The three cultivators of the third great supreme god layer were the fastest. They chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming kept using the great teleportation technique. In a flash, he was 10,000 li away. His speed was astonishing, especially since the great teleportation technique allowed him to teleport directly. He could ignore obstacles in front of him. Lu Ming kept using the great teleportation technique, using the mountains and other obstacles to delay his opponents. That way, the distance between them was slowly increasing. After a few hours, Lu Ming finally got rid of his opponents. Afterward, Lu Ming did not stop. He continued to fly toward the north. As he flew, he recovered the taboo power that he had consumed. Lu Ming obviously didn't want to kill his way to the ancient sorcerer shrine to avenge Xing Qiao and the others. With his current strength, he would be throwing himself into a trap if he went there. He should think of a way to increase his strength first. As for avenging Xing Qiao and the others, Lu Ming would do his best to do so. Of course, if he knew that he couldn't defeat them, Lu Ming wouldn't be so stupid as to throw his life away. The great art of destruction and the others were furious, but in the end, they had no choice but to return to the ancient sorcerer shrine. In the meeting hall of the ancient sorcerer shrine, there were almost 40 people sitting there. These 40 people were all great protectors of the ancient sorcerer shrine. The lowest cultivation level was at the third great god realm. There were 36 great protectors in the ancient sorcerer shrine. They were all extremely strong. That brat is very cunning. This time, he escaped again. The great art of destruction said gloomily with an ugly expression. Now, where did that kid go? An old man in a white robe at the top asked. Facing this old man, the great art of destruction was very respectful and said, Hall Master, that kid is heading north. He should be heading towards the great shaman god temple's territory. He should be close to the great shaman god temple now. It's too late for us to chase after him. Great Sorcerer Temple? If that brat really defected to the Grand Shaman God Temple, it will be detrimental to our plans. It seems like we can only use their own people to deal with that brat. Pass down my orders, summon the Outer World's people to see me. The white-robed elder, who was the ancient sorcerer shrine master, gave the order. Immediately, a Dharma protector left the hall. The people in the hall waited quietly. Not long after, the protector that had left returned. However, he did not return alone. There were some other people following him. If Lu Ming were here, he would be shocked. This was because these people were the sky prides of the heavenly human tribe and the heavenly palace. They were led by Yiyu. Young Master Yiyu. When the ancient sorcerer shrine master saw Yiyu and the others, he did not attack them. Instead, he smiled and cupped his fists. Greetings, Hall Master. Yiyu cupped his fists. The others also cupped their fists. May I know why the Hall Master has called us here? Yiyu continued. 39-inch I have a favor to ask of young Master Yiyu. This is one of the conditions of our cooperation. The ancient sorcerer shrine master said. Oh, what is it? Just say it. Since we are cooperating, I will do my best to help you. Yiyu said. I want you to kill someone. A cold light flashed in the ancient sorcerer shrine master's eyes. He waved his hand and a figure appeared in the air. This figure was Lu Ming. It's him. Yiyu's eyes flashed. Young Master Yiyu, this person also came from the outside world. You should know him, right? The ancient sorcerer shrine master said. Of course I know him. We came in together. Yiyu said. As soon as he said that, the atmosphere in the main hall suddenly changed and became a little cold. A few cold auras fell on Yiyu and the others. Some of the people around Yu suddenly became serious. Divine light surrounded their bodies and they were ready to attack at any time. However, Yu's expression was normal. He smiled faintly and said, "Although we came in together, this kid doesn't know what's good for him. He's not on our side. If there's a chance, he'll make him die a horrible death." "That's good. This kid has killed many of our people. Now that he's heading north, we can't find him. I hope you can take care of this kid," the ancient sorcerer shrine master said. "That's easy. I happen to have a way to contact that kid. You can send a message to him and order him to stop somewhere. I'll send someone to kill him." Yu said. When they came to the Archean world, Yu was the leader. Therefore, Yu had a way to contact someone so that it would be convenient for him to dispatch people. Naturally, he also had Lu Ming's contact number. Yu immediately sent a message to Lu Ming through the illusory divine jade. The message was to ask Lu Ming to stop somewhere and report his location to him. When they met up with Lu Ming, they would act together. After the message was sent, they waited. At this moment, Lu Ming was flying quickly and also sensed the message from the illusory divine jade. "Yu, you're still using such a commanding tone. Is the heavenly human tribe really so high and mighty?" Lu Ming smiled faintly and pretended not to see it. He continued flying. He couldn't be bothered with Yu and the others. It was so cool to act alone. If there were more people, wouldn't it be easy to expose that he could integrate secret skill runes? Moreover, he was very unhappy with Yu and the others. He couldn't be bothered with them. In the ancient sorcerer shrine, Yu and the others waited quietly at first with a confident expression on their faces. However, gradually, the confident expression on his face disappeared and was replaced by a trace of anger. Lu Ming still hadn't replied to his message. "How dare he? Young Master Yu, how is it? Has he replied?" Seeing Yu's expression, the ancient sorcerer shrine master asked. "Not yet. Maybe he hasn't seen my message. I'll ask again. I don't think he has the guts to not reply to my message." Yu said. Then he sent another message and continued to wait. Half an hour later, Yu's face was extremely gloomy. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He didn't reply again. "Damn bastard!" Yu roared in his heart. He had sent 2 messages in a row, but Lu Ming still hadn't replied. Was he ignoring him? It seems that he's not afraid of you at all. Chapter 41:38. Yu pulled a long face when he heard the ancient sorcerer shrine's leader. Maybe he didn't see it. I'll send another message. Yu sent another message to Lu Ming. At the same time, she was yelling in her heart, "Lad, if you don't reply, I don't care what your reason is, whether you really didn't see it or not, I want you to die without a burial place." Another half an hour passed. Yu's face turned pale. Still no reply. Still no reply. Prince Yu, it seems like he didn't give you any face. Are you really the leader of the people from the outside world? The hall master of the ancient sorcerer temple said with a mocking tone. "Leader, where did that little boy go? Where is he? I'll send people to chase him. I'll make him regret it," said Yu coldly. "You want to send people to kill him?" asked the ancient sorcerer shrine's leader. "That's right," replied Yu coldly. The ancient sorcerer shrine's leader didn't tell him how strong Lu Ming was. He also didn't tell him that he had sent a few cultivators of the 3rd great supreme god layer, but none of them had been able to kill Lu Ming. Instead, he directly informed Yu of Lu Ming's approximate location and the direction he was heading in. Lu Ming was about to enter the territory of the Great Sorcerer Shrine. The Ancient Sorcerer Shrine and the Great Sorcerer Shrine were arch-enemies. Once they met, they would fight to the death. If Lu Ming entered the territory of the Great Sorcerer Shrine, the Ancient Sorcerer Shrine would not be able to send people to pursue Lu Ming. That little boy is very strong. He's a good partner, but he killed so many of our strong cultivators. There's no room for negotiation. We can only take your head as a sacrifice," whispered the Ancient Sorcerer Shrine's leader. "Yi take a few people and bring me Mu Yun's head. The Great Sorcerer Shrine doesn't know that we've joined the Ancient Sorcerer Shrine, so they won't do anything to you," said Yu. "Yes," said a young man of the Heavenly Human clan. He took a few other strong cultivators and left the palace. Young Master Yu, I'll wait for your good news. However, if it's really not possible, don't force yourself. The matter half a year later is more important. The hall master of the ancient sorcerer temple said, "Don't worry, I won't spoil your plans. When the time comes, I'll definitely get all the benefits you want. However, don't go back on your promises." Yi Yu said, "Don't worry, all of you only want the ancient secret technique. We only need to split some of our spiritual imprints for you to take away. It's not a big deal." The ancient sorcerer temple master smiled. "That's good. I'll take my leave then." Yi said. With that, Yi Yu led the heavenly human tribe away. As soon as the celestial tribe left, the great art of destruction said, "Hall Master, I'm afraid the Yi Yu sect won't be able to take down that kid. Why didn't you tell him about Mu Yun's strength? Let him send out even stronger existences? Our most important target is the great ancient dojo. Mu Yun's life or death is secondary. This time, we need Yi Yu and the rest to take down the great ancient dojo. It's not good to cause too much trouble now and waste too much of our strength. We'll deal with Mu Yun after the matter at the great ancient dojo is settled." The ancient sorcerer temple master said, "I'm afraid that the great sorcerer temple and Mu Yun are working together. Mu Yun's strength is not to be underestimated. I think that if Yi Yu and the rest meet Mu Yun in the great ancient dojo, they won't be able to take him down." The great art of destruction said worriedly, "Your concern is not without reason. How about this? The two of you, one of you is good at tracking and the other is good at assassination. Sneak into the territory of the great sorcerer temple and see if there's a chance to assassinate Mu Yun." The ancient sorcerer temple master instructed. Immediately, two middle-aged men in black robes stood up to accept the order and left the main hall. The meeting came to an end. After 2 days of traveling, Lu Ming finally entered the territory of the great sorcerer temple. Once he entered the territory of the great sorcerer temple, Lu Ming was still cautious and did not let his guard down. This was because, like the ancient sorcerer temple, the people who ruled the great sorcerer temple were also existences formed by the great ancient secret skill. The experts of the ancient sorcerer temple would want to kill him the moment they saw him. Perhaps the people of the great sorcerer temple would do the same. Lu Ming continued to travel north. After a few days, Lu Ming came to a hidden mountain. He entered the mountain and cultivated in seclusion to stabilize his cultivation base. In the blink of an eye, another 5 days had passed. Rumble! Suddenly, Lu Ming felt the ground shake violently. Even the mountain was shaking violently. "I've been discovered." A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. In a flash, he left the mountain and appeared outside. "It's them." As soon as Lu Ming left the mountain, he saw 4 figures. These 4 people were not from the great ancient world. They were from the heavenly human tribe. "Mu Yun, you're here." The leader of the group was a young man from the heavenly human tribe. He had a head of golden hair and a high nose bridge. This young man was Yi Er. "How did you find me? Why are you looking for me?" Lu Ming was surprised. He did not expect that the people who found him would not be from the sorcerer temple but from the heavenly human tribe. "Let me ask you, why didn't you reply to young Master Yi Yu's message?" Yi Er asked. "Why should I reply?" Lu Ming asked. "You're being disrespectful. Do you know who you are? Do you know who the heavenly human tribe is? It's your honor that young Master Yi Yu sent you a message. Do you understand?" Yi Er shouted in a cold voice. "Huh, I don't understand. Please leave. Don't disturb my cultivation." Lu Ming said lightly. "Kid, you're courting death." Another young man from the heavenly human tribe shouted coldly. His body was like a stream of light as he charged toward Lu Ming. His body was covered by a layer of strange light. He held a slender long sword in his hand and stabbed it toward Lu Ming's glabella. It was extremely sharp and fast. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The battle art was activated and his combat strength was increased by 6 times. He grabbed the air and a black demonic sword appeared in his hand. He also stabbed with the sword. With a clang, the 2 attacks collided. A dazzling light burst out and violent energy swept in all directions. Then, the long sword in the hand of the young man from the heavenly human tribe vibrated violently. He was pushed back dozens of steps. His face was pale and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Your strength? How is that possible? The young man from the heavenly human tribe shouted in disbelief. He was pushed back by Lu Ming in one move and even suffered some injuries. What a strong strength, what a strange power. To be honest, Lu Ming was also surprised. The young man from the heavenly human tribe was a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer. Lu Ming was not surprised by his cultivation level. Lu Ming was shocked by the other party's combat power that was beyond his level. If you like the 10,000 Dao Dragon Emperor, please collect it. Chapter 4139. What surprised Lu Ming the most was the other party's ability to fight above his level. Lu Ming judged that in the Divine Emperor realm, one could fight above 4.5 levels. In the Divine Emperor realm, there weren't many who could fight above 4.5 levels in the entire primitive universe. Each of them was a top-notch monster who was destined to enter the universe prodigy list in the future. Among the people Lu Ming had come into contact with, only the battle god Yuan Wen Ling Yue and Qiu had reached that level. It could be seen how rare it was to have such combat strength. Lu Ming had an impression of this heavenly human tribe youth in front of him. Among the dozen or so heavenly human tribe youths, he was a very ordinary member. He didn't expect the other party to have such combat strength. Could it be that the dozen or so heavenly human tribe youths who entered the great ancient world this time all had the combat strength to fight above 4.5 levels? That would be terrifying. This kid, Yale and the others looked at Lu Ming in surprise. They clearly remembered that the last time they entered the great ancient world, Lu Ming was only a 7th-level Divine Emperor realm cultivator. Now, he had reached the 8th-level Divine Emperor realm. Mun, how dare you fight back? How dare you? Let's attack together and kill him. Yale shouted. A powerful aura erupted from his body as he charged towards Lu Ming. The other two also attacked at the same time. The 4 heavenly human tribe geniuses attacked together with earth-shattering power. Each of their combat strength had definitely reached the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Every cell in his body was trembling and emitting a dazzling light. He unleashed the Great God Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique together. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming waved his fists and threw out a dozen punches in a row to fight against the 4 heavenly human tribe geniuses. The rumbling sounds continued as the violent energy swept out in all directions like a tornado. Following that, several figures were forced to retreat. It was Yale and the other 3. Yale and the other 3 looked at Lu Ming in shock. Their hearts were in turmoil and they couldn't calm down. But they didn't know that Lu Ming was even more shocked. It's true. Even the weakest of them can fight someone who's 4.5 levels higher than him. That Yale can actually fight someone who's 5 levels higher than him. Out of the 4 heavenly human tribe youths, 3 of them were able to fight someone 4.5 levels above them. Yet, Yale was able to fight someone 5 levels above him. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Was this the innate talent of the heavenly human tribe? No wonder the heavenly human race could rule the primitive universe for countless years. Now, it seemed that the strength of the heavenly palace was beyond Lu Ming's imagination. It was unfathomable. In the godly emperor realm, those who could fight across 4 levels were candidates for the universe genius list. They had the potential to reach the godly master realm. As for those who could fight across 4.5 levels, their chances of breaking through to the divine master realm would be much higher. This time, the heavenly human tribe's prodigies who had entered the Archean world were definitely not the entire heavenly human tribe. It was very likely that only a portion of them were present. Just a part of it was already so terrifying. From this, one could see how terrifying the heavenly palace was. After countless years of accumulation, how many divine masters were there? The strength that the heavenly palace revealed to others was very likely only the tip of the iceberg. Lu Ming's heart sank. Moreover, the power that the other party used was extremely strange. It wasn't any kind of divine power, but its power was extremely terrifying and extremely powerful. Kill him with the ultimate weapon. Yale roared. A battle sword flew out from between his eyebrows. It was a golden battle sword, and the sword light shot up into the sky. The other 3 heavenly human tribe youths also used their ultimate weapons one after another. All of them had hidden powerful ultimate weapons. Now that they had used them, their combat power was even more terrifying. They wanted to kill Lu Ming with one move. This weapon... Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. He realized that the ultimate weapons used by the 4 heavenly human tribe youths were completely different from the divine weapons used by all the other races in the primitive universe. The refining principle was completely different. After all, the power they controlled was different from the divine power of the other races. The weapons they used were also different. They looked the same on the outside, but the principles behind them were different. It didn't feel like the cultivation system of the primitive universe. However, Lu Ming wasn't afraid. Buzz. His hand shook, and the mysterious ice rod was used. The rod shadow was like a mountain, and it smashed toward the 4 heavenly human elites. Boom, 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 boom. The 4 huge rod shadows collided with the 4 heavenly human elites, and 4 earth-shattering booms erupted. Then, the 4 figures were sent flying backward. They crashed into several mountains, and blood spurted out of their mouths. The 4 heavenly human elites were severely injured in this collision. Lu Ming had shown mercy. Otherwise, the 4 of them would have been killed by Lu Ming. That's all you got. I'll let you go this time. Get lost. Lu Ming said coldly. He was still somewhat worried. After all, they were the prodigies of the heavenly human tribe. The heavenly human tribe was the ruler of the heavenly palace. After all, he was now in the heavenly palace. If he killed the 4 prodigies of the heavenly human tribe, the heavenly human tribe would definitely know. After all, the 4 prodigies of the heavenly human tribe were sent by Yiyu to find him. If he really killed the 4 of them, they would not let him go when he left the archaic world and returned to the heavenly palace. At that time, he would have to run away before he saw the autumn moon. That was why he didn't kill them. Mu Yun, how dare you injure us? You're courting death. Do you know that? Damn you, you lowly thing. The 4 young men of the heavenly human tribe roared angrily. Their eyes were wide open, and they looked like they wanted to eat Lu Ming. They were the heavenly human tribe, the rulers of the primitive universe. Who would dare to disobey them? When they walked out, even the big shots of the top 10 tribes had to be polite to them. Other than the heavenly human tribe, no one from the other tribes dared to attack them. But now, Lu Ming dared to injure them and ask them to get lost? How dare he? If you don't want to get lost, I'll send you on your way. Don't think that I don't dare to do that. Lu Ming said coldly. His eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. He had some scruples and could give in. However, if the other party went overboard and he couldn't give in, he would have to kill the other party. There was a limit to what he had scruples about. Yi Er and the other 4 turned pale. The murderous intent exuding from Lu Ming sent chills down their spines. After the fight just now, they could feel that Lu Ming's real combat strength could really make them stay. If Lu Ming went crazy, they would be in danger. How could they take the risk so easily? In an instant, they made a decision in their hearts. Mu Yun, just you wait. Young Master Yu won't let you go. Let's go. Yi Er said viciously. Then, he turned and left with the 3 young men of the heavenly human tribe. This is the heavenly human tribe? They're just SOSO. Chapter 4140. In the past, in Lu Ming's mind, the celestial race was mysterious and unfathomable, high and mighty, looking down on all living things. Now, it seemed that they were no different from ordinary people. Perhaps because they were used to being high and mighty, their temperament was not even as good as the geniuses of ordinary races. When they encountered setbacks, when they encountered others who disobeyed them, they would go hysterical and lose their minds. This kind of person, other than being a little more talented, was nothing to be afraid of. There was a huge change in Lu Ming's impression of the heavenly human race. After Yale and the others left, Lu Ming also planned to leave. With a thought, Lu Ming used the greater teleportation technique and disappeared from his original spot. However, in the next moment, he appeared dozens of miles away. He could at least teleport tens of thousands of miles away by using the greater teleportation technique. How could he appear only dozens of miles away? Lu Ming's expression changed. The space has been sealed. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. At this moment, a terrifying sword light suddenly appeared above Lu Ming's head and stabbed towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Fortunately, Lu Ming's reaction was fast enough. When he felt that the space had been sealed, he subconsciously activated the first-class celestial soldier armor, and a layer of light enveloped his entire body. Clang! The sword light stabbed the light shield activated by the first-class celestial soldier armor, emitting an ear-piercing sound. The light barrier trembled incessantly as terrifying sword chi burst forth, slicing open hideous cracks in the void. Lu Ming felt that the tip of the sword light was crazily stabbing inside. Slowly, a crack appeared in the light shield, and the tip of the sword pierced into the light shield. However, it was also the limit. In the end, the sword light did not pierce through the light shield's defense. Instead, it was a powerful force that smashed Lu Ming to the ground, creating a huge crater. Lu Ming spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and used all his strength to leave the place, cautiously staring at the sky. A figure appeared in the sky. It was a thin middle-aged man holding a slender longsword in his hand. It was this sword that had stabbed him just now. What a terrifying sword technique. He only has the strength of the third great supreme god layer, but his attacks are even more powerful than the great destruction technique. Lu Ming's expression was very solemn. The skinny middle-aged man in front of him had shockingly powerful attacks. Previously, the full power strike of the great art of destruction had not been able to break through the defense of the first-grade celestial soldier battle armor. But just now, the opponent's sword had nearly pierced through the first-grade celestial's armor. The tip of the sword had successfully pierced through the first-grade celestial's armor. If he had been any stronger, Lu Ming would have been in danger. That person's fighting strength had almost reached the limit of the third great supreme god layer. Then, Lu Ming looked in another direction. Because in another direction, Lu Ming saw another middle-aged man. He was also wearing a black robe, but unlike the previous person, this person's body, including his face, was completely shrouded in the black robe. His appearance could not be seen clearly, but he still gave Lu Ming a very frightening feeling. Third great supreme god layer. Lu Ming instinctively felt that the second person had the strength of the third great supreme god layer as well. The second person was standing in the distance, blocking Lu Ming's escape route. Ancient sorcerer shrine? Lu Ming said coldly. That's right. The skinny middle-aged man with a long sword in his hand said coldly. He stepped in the air, and with every step he took, his aura grew stronger, and so did his sword chi. He was gathering energy. The reason why he did not attack immediately was because he wanted to gather energy. When his chi reached the peak, he would be able to launch a powerful attack. Shua. Lu Ming used the great teleportation technique again and moved in another direction. Facing such an expert, he could only run. The first-grade celestial soldier battle armor had already blocked the opponent's attack. Its energy was almost exhausted. It could not block the second attack. Now, he could only rely on himself. However, Lu Ming's figure appeared dozens of li away. The space there was also sealed. You can't escape. We arrived before you, but we didn't attack immediately because we were sealing the space. We know that you can use the great teleportation technique, but it has a weakness. If we seal the space, you won't be able to escape, said the skinny middle-aged man coldly. While speaking, his chi became even stronger. Lu Ming looked dignified. He held the Zephyr Pearl in his left hand and the mysterious ice rod in his right hand. He could only risk his life. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, there was a violent explosion in the sky. The earth and sky were shaking violently. It was not the skinny middle-aged man who attacked. It was also not the other person in the black robe who attacked. Of course, it was not Lu Ming who attacked either. The explosion came from another direction. That direction was shaking violently. Cracks appeared in the space there. Through the cracks, a few silhouettes could be seen outside. It was those few figures who were bombarding the void. The sealed void was about to be blasted apart. Grand Sorcerer Temple. The skinny middle-aged man's face changed. He could not care less about gathering his chi. He became one with his sword and turned into a sharp sword light, stabbing towards Lu Ming. It seemed that he was worried about the silhouettes outside. He wanted to kill Lu Ming before they came in. The sword light was too fast and too sharp. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He activated the 2 types of lethal weapons with all his might. A terrifying gale rushed out of the Zephyr Pearl and turned into a wind blade, flying towards the skinny middle-aged man. At the same time, the mysterious ice rod grew rapidly and smashed towards the skinny middle-aged man. Boom! The sharp sword light collided with the Zephyr wind blade. At first, there was a loud explosion. Then there was a clear sound. The sword light successfully pierced through the Zephyr wind blade and continued to stab towards Lu Ming. Then, it hit the mysterious ice rod. At this moment, hundreds of millions of sword chi burst out from where the sword tip and the mysterious ice rod collided. Buzz. The Bingxian rod vibrated violently and buzzed continuously. The powerful force caused Lu Ming to retreat violently. In the process of retreating, there were still small sword chi that landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body was covered with sword wounds and blood flowed out. Although Lu Ming had blocked the main attack of the sword light, there were still some scattered attacks that landed on his body, causing him to be covered with wounds. Lu Ming flew dozens of miles away and crashed into a piece of space. The space was like an invisible wall that was vibrating because of Lu Ming's collision. It was a sealed space. On the other side, the sword light disappeared and the skinny middle-aged man was revealed. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. He did not seem to have expected that he would not be able to kill Lu Ming with his attack. At this moment, there was an explosion in the space. It sounded like glass shattering. Then, a few silhouettes rushed in. Chapter 41-41. The void that had been attacked earlier shattered like glass, and several figures rushed in. Swoosh. A few figures rushed in, and a saber light slashed towards the skinny middle-aged man. Its power was shocking. The skinny middle-aged man raised his sword to block the attack. With a loud clang, the skinny middle-aged man's body trembled as he retreated continuously. This is the territory of the Great Sorcerer Shrine. How dare you come here? You're courting death. A burly man with a full beard, holding a pitch-black saber, grinned and rushed towards the skinny middle-aged man, revealing a strong fighting spirit. Let's go. The skinny middle-aged man glanced at Lu Ming with a cold glint in his eyes. A jade token appeared in his hands. With a click, he crushed the jade token. Immediately, an invisible force shrouded him and his figure disappeared from the spot. At the same time, another figure who had been wrapped in a black robe also disappeared from where he stood. The 2 strong cultivators of the ancient sorcerer shrine had disappeared without a trace. "You're fast," said the skinny middle-aged man. The burly man with a full beard sneered and looked at Lu Ming. There were 2 other people with him. One of them was an old man and the other was a middle-aged woman. Their chi was unfathomable. Lu Ming guessed that they were probably cultivators of the 3rd Great Supreme God layer. Lu Ming was on his guard. The 2 killing weapons in his hands were ready to strike at any time. From their conversation, Lin Fan could tell that they were from the Grand Sorcerer Shrine. The Great Sorcerer Shrine was the same as the Ancient Sorcerer Shrine. They were both controlled by a secret technique. The Ancient Sorcerer Shrine's secret technique had attacked Lu Ming as soon as they had seen him. He couldn't be sure that the Great Sorcerer Shrine's strong cultivators would do the same. Even though they had saved him, he couldn't let his guard down. "Are you Mu Yun?" The burly man with a full beard looked at Lu Ming and asked. "How do you know my name?" asked Lu Ming. "The Ancient Sorcerer Shrine has been trying to kill you. How could we not know?" said the bearded man with a smile. Lu Ming understood in his heart. The Great Sorcerer Shrine and the Ancient Sorcerer Shrine were enemies. They had been fighting for a long time. How could they not have their own people in each other's territory? It wasn't strange that the Great Sorcerer Shrine knew what had happened in the Ancient Sorcerer Shrine. "Why did you save me?" asked Lu Ming. "It's simple. We want to cooperate with you," said the bearded man. "Cooperate with me? Ancient Sorcerer Shrine's secret technique? Didn't you want to kill me? Why do you want to cooperate with me?" Lu Ming expressed his doubts. "Just that you're from the Heavenly Palace, right? The Heavenly Palace has a great enmity with the greater ancient world. Originally, we would not let you off, but the situation has changed. The bearded man said. Sorcerer? What? Lu Ming asked. He still did not believe the other party. We need your help. Therefore we can turn enemies into friends, said the bearded man. You need my help. Why should I believe you? Asked Lu Ming. Lu Ming wouldn't believe them easily. If they said that on purpose to make him lower his guard and wait for an opportunity to kill him, wouldn't he be innocent? Because the ancient sorcerer shrine has cooperated with your people. Think about it. Your companions came to find you, but why didn't the ancient sorcerer shrine attack them? Why did they only attack you? Said the bearded man. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The companions he was referring to were Yale and the others. Indeed, why didn't the ancient sorcerer shrine kill Yale and the others but let them go? Could it be that the heavenly human tribe had really cooperated with the ancient sorcerer shrine? Afterward, Lu Ming recalled that Yu had sent him 3 messages consecutively, asking him to stay at a certain place and giving him the specific address. Previously, he found it strange. Yu did not like him. Why would she suddenly send him a message and ask him to wait at a certain place? Now that he thought about it, it made sense if the heavenly human tribe had really cooperated with the ancient sorcerer shrine. That might be what the ancient sorcerer shrine had asked Yu to do. How are you going to cooperate with me? What do you want me to do? Asked Lu Ming. In the archaic world, there's a place called the Great Ancient Dojo, said the bearded man. Great Ancient Dojo? Lu Ming was puzzled. You came from the outside, so you should know about the history of the archaic world. The archaic world was a core world controlled by the archaic divine court a long time ago, and all the archaic secret techniques were created by the experts of the archaic divine court. The Great Ancient Dojo is the place where the experts of the archaic divine court preach. The younger disciples of the archaic divine court listen to the Tao in the Great Ancient Dojo. At the same time, the Great Ancient Dojo is also the place where the experts of the archaic divine court comprehend the Tao. There are countless insights and Tao enlightenment marks left behind by the experts of the archaic divine court in there. We need you to enter the Great Ancient Dojo and bring out the Tao comprehension imprints, etc., and hand them over to us. If we can obtain those Tao comprehension imprints and Tao comprehension imprints, our cultivation bases will improve by leaps and bounds. The bearded man gave a brief introduction. Lu Ming roughly understood. In the Great Ancient Dojo, there were insights and Tao enlightenment marks left behind by the experts of the archaic divine court who had comprehended various archaic secret techniques. If one could obtain the corresponding insights and Tao enlightenment marks left behind by the experts of the archaic secret techniques, one's cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. For example, the great art of destruction. If one obtained the insights and Tao enlightenment marks left behind by the experts of the great art of destruction in the Great Ancient Dojo, it would be a supreme treasure for the great art of destruction, which could help one's cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. In the past, the archaic divine court was a huge force that could challenge the heavenly palace. The top experts of the archaic divine court were unimaginably strong, and the insights and Tao enlightenment marks left behind by the experts of the archaic secret techniques were no small matter. My cultivation is only at the divine emperor realm. There should be many people in the great sorcerer shrine who are stronger than me. Why don't you go in and cooperate with me? Lu Ming asked the question that had been on his mind. Because we both have archaic secret techniques and ordinary secret techniques, which were created by the experts of the archaic divine court. In their eyes, we are just tools. Tools have no place in the hearts of their masters. The bearded man chuckled. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The bearded man was right. Archaic secret techniques and ordinary secret techniques were created by the experts of the archaic divine court, so they were indeed like tools. Just like the weapons that they forged, they were actually tools. How high could a tool be in the eyes of its master? So, you can't enter the Great Ancient Dojo? Lu Ming asked as he had an idea. Yes, you are very smart. The bearded man nodded. Chapter 41-42. The bearded man nodded and confirmed Lu Ming's guess. The Great Ancient Dojo has a special restriction set up by the experts of the Ancient Divine Court. Our ancient secret skills and ordinary secret skills can't enter. Originally, there were many living beings in the great ancient world. We were looking for them, but you guys came in. Your combat strength is very strong, surpassing the other living beings in this world. Therefore, we targeted you. As far as we know, the ancient sorcerer shrine has already cooperated with a group of people from the outside world. Therefore, the great sorcerer shrine naturally has to find someone to cooperate with. Otherwise, we won't be able to compete with the ancient sorcerer shrine. The bearded man explained. Since the ancient sorcerer shrine is looking for someone to cooperate with, why did they want to kill me as soon as they saw me? Lu Ming asked. Well, it should be because you met the people of the ancient sorcerer shrine too early. At that time, they didn't intend to cooperate with you. Later, you killed many experts of the ancient sorcerer shrine, so it's impossible to cooperate with them again. The bearded man said. Lu Ming was speechless. He knew that it was very likely that this was the case. How about it? It's impossible for you to cooperate with the ancient sorcerer shrine anymore. Cooperate with the great sorcerer shrine. If you have any requests, just tell us. As long as you give us enough insights and imprints of the experts of the ancient divine court, we will try our best to satisfy your request. The bearded man said. If I want the ancient secret skills, can you give them to me? Lu Ming said. At the same time, he was prepared to attack. He was afraid that the bearded man would be angry and attack him after hearing his request. However, he was thinking too much. You only want the ancient secret skills? That's easy. We can give you the same amount of ancient secret skills according to the insights and imprints you give us, the bearded man said. You can give me the ancient secret skills without causing any harm to yourself? Lu Ming was surprised. Of course not. During the process of cultivation, we can separate a spiritual imprint every once in a while. The spiritual imprint contains all the cultivation methods of a certain ancient secret skill. We pass it to other living beings in the great ancient world through this method. Of course, we are not prepared. Forcefully removing the spiritual imprint will still cause some damage. The bearded man said. So that was how it was. Lu Ming recalled that when he was in West Raven City, the young man in West Raven City received the inheritance of secret techniques. Those inherited secret techniques were in the form of spiritual imprints, which should have been peeled off from the cultivation of these transfiguration secret techniques. All right, I promise you. Lu Ming thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. Although the spiritual imprint couldn't be directly integrated into one's cells like secret skill runes, one had to comprehend it on their own. Furthermore, he would not be able to obtain the energy within the runes to increase his cultivation. However, there was nothing he could do about it. There were too many experts in the ancient sorcerer shrine and the great sorcerer shrine. If he went against them, he would be hunted down by them, let alone get the secret skill rune. He might not even be able to survive in the end. To be able to obtain the ancient secret technique contained in the spiritual imprint was already very good. After all, their original intention in coming here was to obtain the ancient secret technique. They could keep it for themselves, or they could copy it and exchange it with the Heavenly Palace for merit points. There were many benefits. All right, in order to trust each other, we can swear on our life origin. The bearded man was overjoyed and immediately swore on his life origin that he and Lu Ming were sincere in their cooperation. Then, Lu Ming also swore an oath. This way, both parties could rest assured. After the oath, Lu Ming immediately followed the bearded man to the great sorcerer shrine. As long as they went to the great sorcerer shrine, they would not have to worry about the revenge of the ancient sorcerer shrine. After a while, Lu Ming, the bearded man, and the others arrived at the great sorcerer shrine. Muyan, let me introduce some people to you. The bearded man said. Some people? Lu Ming was puzzled. Who was the bearded man going to introduce to him? The people who had entered the great ancient dojo with him? Not long after, Lu Ming met a group of people in a palace. It's you guys? Lu Ming was surprised. This group of people was the same as him. They were all first-class heavenly soldiers of the Heavenly Palace. This time, the people who had entered the Heavenly Palace were mainly divided into 3 groups. One group was the young prodigies of the Heavenly Human Tribe. Another group was the core disciples of the important figures of the Heavenly Palace. There was another group of heavenly soldiers like Lu Ming. They were the top geniuses among the heavenly soldiers. All of them were first-class heavenly soldiers. When the first-class heavenly soldiers saw Lu Ming, they were also surprised. I heard that Yi Yu and the others have already cooperated with the ancient sorcerer shrine. Why you here? Lu Ming asked curiously. Weren't these people always working with the heavenly human tribe? Back then, he was the only one who had left the team and acted alone. But now, Yi Yu and the others were working with the ancient sorcerer shrine, and these heavenly soldiers were in the great sorcerer shrine. This made Lu Ming curious. Sigh, with Yi Yu and the others, I'll do the dangerous work and they'll get the benefits. How can we cooperate like this? That's right, so we might as well leave. Although they have a high status, they can't treat us like slaves. Mu Yun, you have foresight. If I had known, I would have left earlier. More than 30 heavenly soldiers complained at once. Lu Ming quickly figured out the reason. Lu Ming smiled inwardly. These first-class celestial soldiers were all top-notch geniuses in their own races, or in the primitive universe. They were almost all candidates for the universe genius list. They were all proud and arrogant people, but in front of Yi Yu and the others, they were used as tools. They didn't get any benefits, so they were naturally unhappy. It was expected that they would part ways. Lu Ming chatted with them for a while and then left. Then, he followed the bearded man to meet the higher-ups of the Great Sorcerer Shrine, such as the Shrine Master of the Great Sorcerer Shrine. The two sides talked for a while and discussed the terms of their cooperation. After reaching an agreement, Lu Ming stayed in the Great Sorcerer Shrine. Since there was still half a year before he entered the great ancient ritual ground, Lu Ming had nothing to do, so he might as well cultivate in peace. Right now, Lu Ming had too many secret skills to cultivate. He had obtained more than 20 new ancient secret techniques. Although he had integrated the secret technique runes into his cells, they were only at the beginner level. He had to keep comprehending and cultivating them to increase their power. In addition, Lu Ming had 15,000 types of ordinary secret skills that he needed to cultivate. Lu Ming thought for a while and decided not to cultivate those ancient secret techniques for the time being. It wouldn't be too late to cultivate them in the Creation Tower when he returned to the Heavenly Palace. First, he would comprehend some ordinary secret techniques and turn them into secret technique runes to fuse into his cells. That would also increase his strength slightly. Chapter 41-43. Lu Ming took out an ordinary secret skill and began to comprehend it. It did not take long for him to comprehend this ordinary secret skill successfully. It transformed into a secret skill rune and integrated into a cell. Of course, he had only reached the beginner level. He hadn't reached the great success level yet. In fact, Lu Ming didn't plan to reach the great success level. He would first reach the beginner level and merge it with his cells. He would then go to the Fortune Tower to improve it. Now that he had mastered the first one, he had to take out the second one. Just like that, Lu Ming focused on studying the secret skill. Time flew by. Half a year had passed in the blink of an eye. At that moment, Lu Ming and the others started to move out. Lu Ming and more than 30 first-class celestial soldiers. Apart from them, there was also a large group of living beings. These living beings were the living beings of the archaic world. There were a few hundred of them. They were all at the Emperor God realm, and they were all very old. They were all under the control of the Great Sorcerer God Palace. Lu Ming glanced at them and sensed carefully. He had an idea. He realized that most of the living beings were at the first layer of the Great Supreme God layer. There were only a few at the second layer and none at the third layer. It made sense. Under the rule of the Great Sorcerer Shrine, how could the Great Sorcerer Shrine allow such a powerful being to be born? If such a powerful being was born, it would most likely affect the Great Sorcerer Shrine's rule. It was necessary to control them properly. Of course, this was only Lu Ming's guess. There might be other reasons. Lu Ming and the others sized them up. These living beings also looked at Lu Ming and the 30-odd first-class celestial soldiers. Then, they were astonished and in disbelief. This chi. It doesn't seem like the chi of the archaic world. That's right. It should be the chi of the outside world. They're not from the archaic world. They're from the outside world. Many exclamations could be heard. Everyone stared at Lu Ming and the rest in shock. However, they were just curious. Just as Sheng Qiao had said, these ordinary living creatures of flesh and blood had long forgotten the enmity between the heavenly palace and the ancient divine court. Naturally, they had no intention of killing Lu Ming and the others. Alright, you guessed right. They are indeed from the outside world. This time, we are cooperating with the Great Sorcerer God Temple to enter the Great Ancient Dojo and fight for the insights and seals left behind by the strong cultivators of the ancient divine court. You must cooperate with each other. A rather dignified voice sounded out, and then a group of people floated over. This group of people were the experts from the Grand Sorcerer Temple. The bearded man who had brought Lu Ming here was also among them. However, he was standing at the back. The one in the middle was an old man with a white beard. He looked extraordinary and had the demeanor of a transcendent being. Greetings, Palace Master. Hundreds of great ancient worlds God Emperor realm experts bowed at the same time. Lu Ming also recognized that this person was the Hall Master of the Grand Sorcerer God Palace. Everyone, please follow me to the entrance of the Great Ancient Dojo. The Hall Master of the Grand Sorcerer God Temple said as he led the group away. Lu Ming and the rest followed closely behind. The group went deeper into the Grand Sorcerer God Temple and finally came to a huge platform in the depths of the Grand Sorcerer God Temple. There was a huge stone door on the platform. The stone door was tightly shut and it looked very old. This is the entrance to the Great Ancient Dojo. The Grand Sorcerer God Temple has one, and so does the Ancient Sorcerer God Temple. Both of them can lead to the Great Ancient Dojo. It is not time to open yet. Since it is not time to open yet, let me give you a general overview of the situation in the Great Ancient Dojo. There are a total of 7 dojos in the Great Ancient Dojo. They are all places where the strong cultivators of the ancient divine court preach. Each dojo has insights and seals left behind by the strong cultivators of the ancient divine court. They are very precious. However, one of the dojos is the main dojo. That is where the ancient divine court preaches. The insights and seals left behind are the most precious. At the same time, it is also the dojo that the ancient Sorcerer God Temple wants the most. As for the specific situation, I am not very clear about it. You will have to go in and check it out yourselves. The Grand Sorcerer God Temple Master gave them a rough overview of the situation in the Great Ancient Dojo. Then, everyone waited quietly. 3 days later, all of a sudden, the stone door began to tremble slightly. Rays of light began to emanate from the ancient stone door. Then, the stone door vibrated more and more vigorously. The light on the door became brighter and brighter. The eyes of the people from the Grand Sorcerer God Temple lit up. The Great Ancient Dojo had been sealed since the Great War in the Primordial Era. It had never been opened. After all the ancient secret skills had gained sentience and transformed, they had tried to enter the dojo but to no avail. Was it finally going to open now? About 2 hours later, the stone door made a kacha sound and a layer of divine light covered it. Then, the stone door slowly opened from the middle, revealing a dazzling scene inside. Yes, it was a dazzling scene. It was impossible to see the world behind the stone door. After a while, the stone door was completely open. Everyone, there is still a seal on the stone door. We cannot enter. You can go in. Let's go. The Grand Sorcerer God Temple Master said. Let's go. The beings from the great ancient world were the most enthusiastic. Some of them had already rushed out and entered the stone door. Without any resistance, they disappeared into the stone door. Then, everyone started to move and rush toward the stone door. Lu Ming and the others also rushed through the stone door and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming found himself on a flat land. What a tall mountain! Lu Ming looked ahead and saw a mountain that reached into the clouds. The mountain towered into the clouds. From afar, he could see many buildings and palaces on the mountain. Is this one of the dojos? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There were 7 dojos in the Great Ancient Dojo. This should be one of them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The beings from the Great Ancient World rushed toward the mountain and the palaces. This mountain peak was a Taoist right, and was also the residence of the almighty experts of the primeval divine court. It was possible to leave behind insights or marks in any location, especially the palaces. Everyone, let's split up, Lu Ming said to the other first-class heavenly soldiers. Then he also rushed toward the mountain and one of the palaces. This guy is really arrogant, a heavenly soldier said unhappily. If he doesn't want to work with us, we can't be bothered to work with him. Let's go. Another heavenly soldier said. The 30-odd heavenly soldiers also split into 5 or 6 teams and flew to different parts of the mountain. Lu Ming was very fast. After a few breaths, he landed in front of a palace. Chapter 41-44. The door of the palace was open. Lu Ming looked expectant as he entered the door in a flash. However, Lu Ming's body was covered by the forbidden energy. After all, there might be threats in this place, so he had to be cautious. However, Lu Ming was overthinking it. After he entered the palace, he did not find anything unusual. However, to Lu Ming's disappointment, there were some things left behind in the palace, but they had all decayed. After all, too many years had passed. According to the Grand Magus Shrine Master, the great ancient ritual ground had been sealed after the battle between the Heavenly Palace and the ancient Divine Court. It had been 500 stellar years. What else could be left behind? Lu Ming wondered if the insights and marks left behind by those almighties could still be preserved. However, since he was already here, he naturally had to search carefully. Lu Ming looked around the palace and finally came to the back of the palace. Behind the palace was a courtyard. In the middle of the courtyard, there was a stone tablet. That is, Lu Ming's eyes widened. There was a mark on the stone tablet. This mark looked like it had been cut by a knife, and it was emitting powerful and strange waves. This is definitely the mark of some ancient secret skill. It must have been carved on the stone tablet by some almighties of the ancient divine court when they were comprehending something. This is the insight that those ancient secret skills wanted. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that the insights left behind by such almighties were very difficult to erase. After all, those almighties were too powerful. Let's not talk about other things. Just take the mark or mark left by almighties as an example. It would not disappear even after countless years. Let's not talk about almighties. If Lu Ming cultivated in seclusion in a certain place, his insights and aura would leak out and transform that place. For those low-level almighties, it was a sacred cultivation ground that could be preserved for a long time without dissipating. Put it away. Lu Ming gathered his thoughts and a wave of energy surged out and shrouded the stone tablet. Then he pulled it out forcefully. Rumble. The stone tablet was forcibly pulled out by Lu Ming and stored in an empty storage ring. Success. Lu Ming's face lit up. According to the agreement with the Grand Sorcerer Palace, with this stone tablet and the comprehension of the Archean secret skill on it, he could exchange it for another Archean secret skill from the Grand Sorcerer Palace. Having found something, Lu Ming's spirits were lifted, and he began to carefully search the palace again. On the other side, there was another courtyard. There was no stone tablet in this courtyard, but there was a cave behind it. Lu Ming walked into the cave and found a stone table in the middle of the cave. There was a jade talisman on the stone table. Lu Ming walked over and picked up the jade talisman. It works. Lu Ming was delighted. He had seen jade talismans before, but they had all lost their spirituality and turned into ashes as soon as he picked them up. But now, the jade talisman was still useful. Lu Ming looked at the surface of the jade talisman. There was no formation on the surface of the jade talisman. Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness could easily penetrate it, and he found a small figure flashing inside. It was another ancient secret technique. However, Lu Ming took a closer look and found that it was not a complete Archean secret skill. It seemed to be a trace left behind by a powerful being. Yes, it was just a trace of a trace. If someone who had cultivated this Archean secret skill were to study it, it would be a great inspiration for him and increase his comprehension. The Grand Sorcerer Palace wanted this kind of trace. Lu Ming revealed a smile and put it away. Lu Ming looked around but did not find anything. He immediately left the place and went to another palace. There were many palaces on this mountain. Lu Ming continued to search through a few more palaces and found something good. In total, he had obtained 9 kinds of insights or traces, which could be exchanged for 9 Archean secret skills. This palace is huge. I should be able to find something good. Lu Ming found a huge palace and rushed toward it. At the same time, he released his spiritual consciousness and shrouded the palace. However, he did not find anything after searching around. However, he made a great discovery at the back of the palace. There was a wall at the back of the palace. The wall was covered with various carvings. Lu Ming widened his eyes in surprise. He found that the carvings on the wall were the insights of various Archean secret skills, and they were emitting a strange aura. If he looked carefully, he could see that there were at least 10 different Archean secret skills. This was definitely a place of cultivation in the past. More than one expert had comprehended here and left their insights on the wall. I'm rich. Lu Ming was overjoyed. As there were too many auras on the wall, Lu Ming could not tell how many there were, but there were definitely more than 10 of them. How should I take it away? Lu Ming pondered. The wall was more than 300 meters in length and width. I'd better dig it out. Lu Ming decided to dig out the entire wall and take it away. After making the decision, Lu Ming took out a saber and began to dig. However, the wall, or rather, the entire mountain, was too hard. The saber in Lu Ming's hand was an emperor-level divine weapon, which was used by divine emperors. It was very powerful, but when it hit the wall, it made clanging sounds and sparks. It was as if he had hit other divine weapons. He could only make a 1-meter-deep mark with his saber. It was not easy to dig out the entire wall. However, it was understandable. If the stone wall was not hard, how could those powerful insights be left on it? Just how powerful were those experts? With just one attack, ordinary stone would instantly turn to ash. Moreover, it was impossible to keep it for so long. Lu Ming kept digging with his saber. After more than 10 minutes, he had dug out less than 1/10 of the wall. This was too time-consuming. If he spent too much time here, wouldn't the other comprehensions or imprints be obtained by others? At this moment, swoosh, in a flash, more than a dozen figures rushed into the courtyard and stood in the air, emitting powerful auras. They were not other heavenly soldiers, but beings from the archaic world. These people were very old and had cultivated in the archaic world for many years before reaching the divine emperor realm. In the eyes of the ordinary people in the archaic world, they were superior beings. They came in with Lu Ming and the others from the Grand Magus Palace. It's that kid from the outside world. These people recognized Lu Ming as soon as they saw Lu Ming. Look at the stone wall. There are many ancient secret skills on it. I knew it. More than 10 pairs of eyes fell on the stone wall, revealing a scorching light. Chapter 41-45. More than a dozen people were staring at the wall greedily. Little boy, that wall is too big. You can't do it alone. You should leave. Leave it to us, said a skinny old man smiling evilly. Don't worry, I can do it alone. I don't need to trouble you, said Lu Ming, pretending to be ignorant. They wanted him to leave and give the wall to them, but how could that be possible? Little boy, you're playing dumb, right? I'll tell you straight, we want that wall. If you don't want to die, piss off. Do you understand? The skinny old man snorted coldly, completely pulling down his face. I was the one who found this place first. I think the ones who should leave are you, said Lu Ming indifferently. He could see that most of the people there had the strength of the first great supreme god layer. Only the skinny old man had the strength of the second great supreme god layer. Lu Ming really did not take such a configuration to heart. You're so stubborn. Initially, we wanted to spare your life because you were cooperating with the great shaman shrine, but now it seems like you want to die. This time, it was another old man who spoke. That's right. I really don't understand why the sorcerer god temple would work with them. I don't think anyone from the outside world has reached the great emperor realm. They're all emperors. How can such trash compete with the ancient sorcerer god temple? Another old man said with a mocking expression. Little boy, I'll give you one last chance, piss off. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you face. I'll make this place your grave, said the skinny old man icily. His face was ice cold, and his eyes were filled with murder. Lu Ming's face sank as well. However, as soon as he shifted his gaze, he revealed a look of joy. Initially, I wanted you to leave, but now I've changed my mind. Stay here and help me dig out the wall, said Lu Ming. What? The old men were dumbstruck. What had Lu Ming just said? He wanted them to help him dig out the wall? Was he crazy? A cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer dared act so arrogantly? Was he crazy? Were the people in the outside world all so confident? What's the point of talking so much nonsense with this kid? Since he doesn't know what's good for him, I'll kill him. An old man with 2 tentacles on his head shouted coldly and stepped out. His body was like a huge mountain as he rushed towards Lu Ming. The 2 tentacles on top of his head rapidly grew in size, like 2 incomparably huge sticks, and smashed towards Lu Ming with terrifying power. He was a cultivator of the 1st Great Supreme God layer. Facing such an attack, those below the Emperor God level would not be able to withstand it at all. They would be smashed into meat paste. At least, that was what the God Emperors of the archaic worlds thought. After all, the difference between a God Emperor and a God Emperor was too great. It could only be said that they were too inexperienced. Lu Ming's expression was calm. When the 2 tentacles were about to attack him, he stretched out a pair of big hands and grabbed upwards. His 2 palms rapidly grew in size until they were as large as a mountain. They also became even larger than the 2 tentacles. He grabbed the 2 tentacles with one hand. Then he swung it with all his might. Boom! In the end, the old man was smashed onto the ground. It was as if an earthquake had occurred. A huge crater appeared on the ground. The old man was lying in the crater, blood gushing out of his mouth. His body was twitching uncontrollably. His body was as soft as mud, and he couldn't move anymore. The other cultivators were astonished. Their eyes were wide open, and their mouths were wide open. They couldn't believe it, as if they had seen a ghost. In one attack, Lu Ming had killed a cultivator of the 1st Great Supreme God layer. That was an instant kill. Killing a cultivator of the 1st Great Supreme God layer in an instant wasn't strange at all. Any cultivator of the 2nd Great Supreme God layer could do the same. The most important thing was that Lu Ming only had the strength of the 8th Godly Emperor layer. Lu Ming had just relied on his own strength. He hadn't used any external strength. That was too terrifying, too unimaginable. How could a cultivator of the 8th Godly Emperor layer be that strong? Was he from the outside world? Were all the people from the outside world so monstrous? At that moment, many thoughts flashed through their minds. Actually, it was normal. When Lu Ming had the strength of the 7th Godly Emperor layer, he was stronger than ordinary cultivators of the 1st Great Supreme God layer. Now that he had broken through to the 8th Godly Emperor layer, his fighting strength had increased tremendously. Even though he still couldn't compete with cultivators of the 2nd Great Supreme God layer, he could easily kill ordinary cultivators of the 1st Great Supreme God layer. Now, can you stay and help me dig the wall? Said Lu Ming indifferently, as if he had done something insignificant. You're really strong. We made a mistake. We can give you the wall, but if you want us to stay and help you dig the wall, you're going too far, said the skinny old man of the 2nd Great Supreme God layer. In his heart, he was already thinking of retreating. Even though he had the strength of the 2nd Great Supreme God layer, he was much stronger than cultivators of the 1st Great Supreme God layer. He could easily kill ordinary cultivators of the 1st Great Supreme God layer. But Lu Ming was too terrifying. He only had the strength of the 8th Godly Emperor layer, and he was that strong. Who knew if he had other trump cards? He wasn't sure, so he decided to retreat first. He didn't want to compete with Lu Ming for the wall. Going too far? I don't think so. Everything depends on strength. If I wasn't as strong as you, I would have had no choice but to leave or die. But now, I want you to help me dig the wall. I'm already being merciful by not killing you, said Lu Ming coldly. The skinny old man and the others pulled a long face. Young man, you're too arrogant. You think you can defeat us? Said the skinny old man. He clenched his fists and released a terrifying chi. His terrifying chi increased the pressure on the battlefield by dozens of times. The other dozen cultivators of the 1st Great Supreme God layer also released their chi, getting ready to launch a thunderous attack. Even though you can defeat a cultivator of the first great supreme god layer, I have the strength of the second great supreme god layer. The difference between the first and second great supreme god layers is, said the skinny old man, but Lu Ming didn't feel like talking nonsense. You talk too much. A cold voice came out of Lu Ming's mouth. Unknowingly, the Bingxian cudgel had already appeared in his hands and he directly smashed it toward the skinny old man. The mysterious ice rod became as large as a mountain as it squeezed the entire sky, creating a rumbling sound of air exploding. Its power was terrifying to the extreme. The skinny old man's face changed drastically. He turned deathly pale. He was terrified. The faces of the other cultivators of the first great supreme god layer turned deathly pale. Their eyes were filled with fear, and their bodies were shaking. They couldn't block it. They had the feeling that they couldn't block it. If it really fell, they would be smashed into ashes. Chapter 41-46. The skinny old man and the others had ugly expressions on their faces. Deep fear could be seen in their eyes. But at that moment, they had to fight back. They couldn't just sit there and wait for death. "Let's attack together," shouted the skinny old man. He used his strongest attack to attack the mysterious ice staff. At the same time, the other people also attacked. Their attacks were like meteors as they bombarded the mysterious ice staff. They wanted to block it. However, Lu Ming was using his full strength. How powerful was the mysterious ice staff? It could already compete with cultivators of the third great supreme god layer. How could the skinny old man and the others resist it? The mysterious ice staff smashed down and destroyed the attacks. A terrifying force pressed down on them. The skinny old man and the others trembled violently and fell to the ground. They coughed up blood and their faces turned pale. They were terrified. Swoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared above their heads. His murderous chi poured down like mercury. "Don't kill me, I surrender, I surrender." That skinny old man was the first to shout. "I surrender too, don't kill me." "Surrender!" shouted the others. "Since you've surrendered, why don't you get up and help me dig the walls? Are you going to lie on the ground and pretend to be dead?" said Lu Ming coldly. He had been merciful a moment before. If he had really killed them, they wouldn't have been able to say anything. Therefore, he knew that even though they were injured, they were only lightly injured and wouldn't hinder their movements. True enough, as soon as Lu Ming spoke, the skinny old man and the other 10 over people got up and helped Lu Ming to dig the stone wall obediently. With the addition of more than 10 people, the speed of digging the stone wall was very fast. In no time, the entire stone wall was dug out and Lu Ming kept it in his storage ring. The skinny old man looked at Lu Ming anxiously. He was afraid that Lu Ming would kill them all in a fit of anger. "Get lost," said Lu Ming while waving his hand. The shriveled elder and the others felt as if they had been granted amnesty. They immediately took to their heels and left faster than anything else, disappearing from this place in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming didn't linger either. His figure flickered as he left the area and continued to search for insights and imprints. Not long after, Lu Ming saw an interesting scene. In one of the palaces, there were also some great ancient world's divine emperors who wanted to deal with the other celestial soldiers and snatch their insights and imprints. In the end, they were defeated by the celestial soldiers using their ultimate weapons. Those celestial soldiers were all incredible geniuses. They had all become first-class celestial soldiers when they had broken through to the godly emperor layer, especially those who had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. They weren't any weaker than ordinary cultivators of the first great supreme god layer. They could easily defeat cultivators of the second great supreme god layer. Most importantly, there weren't many cultivators of the second great supreme god layer in the great ancient world. Most of the celestial soldiers had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. If they joined hands, how could the people of the great ancient world compete with them? Lu Ming smiled faintly and didn't mind. He continued to head towards the peak of the mountain. On the way, he collected the insights and imprints he saw. After a short time, Lu Ming arrived at the top of the mountain and looked around. Lu Ming was astonished. He discovered that the mountain was actually floating in midair. Clouds and mist were everywhere. It was like a celestial paradise. Through the clouds and mist, he could faintly see the other mountains. There were 6 mountains in total. They were arranged in a circle and floating in the air. There are chains connecting them. Lu Ming was astonished. He realized that there were 2 gigantic chains on the left and right of the mountain under his feet. They were connected to the other mountains. Those must be the other 5 dojos. Do I have to go through these chains to get to the other mountains? Lu Ming pondered for a moment. He then waved his hand and a divine weapon flew out. It wanted to fly directly to the neighboring mountain peak. However, it had just flown a short distance away from the mountain peak under his feet when a powerful force was born. The divine weapon directly exploded into pieces with a bang. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, if a person were to fly out rashly, they would probably explode into pieces like that divine weapon, not even leaving behind a corpse. Then, Lu Ming took out another weapon and flew out along the chain. This time, the weapon was fine. After the verification, Lu Ming rushed out and landed on the chain. Then, he strode forward and headed for the other mountain. Let's go there too. The group of first-class heavenly soldiers from the heavenly palace also followed Lu Ming to the same mountain. As for the great ancient world's emperor god experts, they went to the other mountain. Lu Ming was very fast. Like the wind, he soon arrived at the peak of the other mountain. The road is broken. I can't go to the next mountain. After arriving at the mountain, Lu Ming realized that there was another mountain on the other side of the mountain. It should be another dojo. But this time, there was no chain leading to the next mountain. There's someone. Then, Lu Ming realized that there were figures flashing on the other mountain. However, due to the clouds, his vision was blurry. He could only see the figures but not their faces. Could it be that those people are from the ancient sorcerer temple? After the people from the ancient sorcerer temple entered, they appeared in the 3 dojos on the other side, while we appeared in the 3 dojos on the other side. The 3 dojos on the other side are not connected? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. However, didn't they say that there were 7 dojos? Why were there only 6? Where was the 7th one? There should be a main dojo, right? Lu Ming looked around but did not find the 7th dojo. Forget it. Let's search for insights and imprints first. Lu Ming shook his head and pounced on the palaces to search for insights and imprints. This mountain was similar to the previous one. It also had palaces. Most of the items in the palaces had decayed, but the insights and imprints left behind by the experts had been preserved. Of course, those that had been preserved were left behind by the top experts. Ordinary experts would not have been able to preserve them for such a long period of time. Fewer people came to this mountain, so the harvest was naturally much better. After plundering the entire mountain peak, Lu Ming obtained a total of more than 100 kinds of insights or imprints of ancient secret skills. This could be exchanged for hundreds of ancient secret skills. If he took them to the heavenly palace, how many merit points would he be able to exchange for? Of course, to be able to exchange for merit points, he needed to know that the heavenly palace did not have them. Since the heavenly palace already had them, he could only keep them and could not exchange them for merit points. While Lu Ming was plundering this mountain peak, on another mountain peak where the emperor gods of the great ancient world were heading to, more than 10 people were surrounded by a large group of people. These people were the skinny old man and the others who had wanted to rob Lu Ming previously. Chapter 41-47. The skinny old man and the others were surrounded by another group of people. There were 50 or 60 people in that group. Fong He, what do you want? The skinny elder said with a gloomy expression. What do we want? It's simple, give me all the imprints you've obtained and I'll let you live. Said the leader of the group, a white-haired old man with 6 arms. His name was Fong He and he was smiling coldly. Fuck! Shouted the skinny old man furiously. Even though they were all under the command of the great shaman shrine, they were divided into different groups. Fighting against each other was normal. Many of them hated each other. If they went to the great ancient shrine and looked for the imprints left behind by the strong cultivators of the ancient shrine, the great shaman shrine would give them great rewards. Of course, they would try their best to find the imprints. Fighting against each other was normal. It seems like you don't want to hand them over. Then, after killing you, I'll take them from you," said Fang He, smiling coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. "All right, we'll hand them over," said the skinny old man, grinding his teeth. Even though he didn't want to, he had to hand them over. There were so many people on the other side, and some of them were cultivators of the second great supreme god layer. They couldn't compete with them. If they didn't hand them over, they would die. The skinny old man and the others took out all the imprints they had obtained and handed them over to Fang He and the others. "We've already handed them over. If you don't believe us, I can swear on my life," said the skinny old man. "Good, I'll let you live today. Let's go," said Fang He, waving his hand and leaving with his people. "Damn that Fang He. Damn him. Damn him." After Fang He and the others left, the skinny old man roared in anger, his face twisted in anger. He felt so wronged. He had wanted to steal something from Lu Ming, but in the end, Lu Ming had easily defeated him. He had even been forced to dig a hole in the wall by Lu Ming. Now it was even worse. He had spent a lot of effort to collect the imprints left behind by the strong cultivators of the ancient shrine, but Fang He had taken them all. He had come in vain. "Patriarch, what should we do now?" asked a cultivator of the first great supreme god layer. "Fang He stole our harvest. I won't let him off so easily." The skinny old man's eyes were ferocious. "Patriarch, what do you want to do?" Reporting to Fang He, "But with our strength, we are no match for Fang He." One of them said, "Of course we can't do it with our strength, but we have people who can. We can borrow a knife to kill them." The skinny old man said, "Get someone else to do the dirty work? Whose knife did you borrow?" Someone asked. Fang He and the others shouldn't have come into contact with those freaks from the outside world, right? Especially that freak who uses a long staff. The skinny old man said, "No, they haven't met since they entered this place." Someone said, "Good, very good. Find someone to spread false information to Fang He, saying that the person from the outside world who used the long staff had a great harvest and obtained hundreds of insights and imprints. I believe Fang He and the others will be tempted," the skinny old man said with a shrewd look in his eyes. "Patriarch is wise. After Fang He knows, he will definitely go and find that person from the outside world who used the long staff. However, although Fang He and the others have more people, they won't be a match for that person. At that time, this subordinate admires you." After the others flattered him, they started to prepare. Lu Ming didn't know that good luck had befallen him. "We've almost finished searching this mountain. We can't pass the other 3 mountains and we can't find the main training ground. How can we increase our harvest?" Lu Ming frowned and thought. Although he had obtained hundreds of insights and imprints, how could Lu Ming be satisfied with such a harvest? Those people from the great ancient world. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Hundreds of people had entered the great ancient world. With so many people searching together, they must have obtained a great harvest. It would be great if he could get all of their harvest. As for those first-class celestial soldiers, Lu Ming didn't have any thoughts about them. Most importantly, those first-class celestial soldiers weren't easy to deal with. Moreover, each of them was wearing a first-class celestial soldier armor that could withstand a full blow from a third-layer Emperor God expert. With Lu Ming's strength, even if he used the mysterious ice staff with all his strength, it wouldn't be easy for him to break through their defense. However, those people from the great ancient world didn't have such a defensive treasure. It would be easy to deal with them. Thinking of this, Lu Ming took action. He returned to the mountain where he came from, and then headed towards the mountain where those people from the great ancient world had gone. However, before Lu Ming could reach there, he was surrounded. Asterisk schwa schwa schwa. Asterisk a large group of people surrounded Lu Ming. There were about 50 to 60 of them. This group of people was naturally Fang He and the others. They had heard that Lu Ming had hundreds of imprints and comprehensions left behind by the strong cultivators of the ancient divine court. They were extremely excited and had immediately set off to look for Lu Ming. They hadn't thought that they would run into Lu Ming as soon as they returned to the mountain. Without saying anything, they immediately gave the order to surround Lu Ming. "Little boy, hand over all the imprints and comprehensions you have," Fang He said coldly and confidently. He was sure that Lu Ming wouldn't dare resist. Lu Ming was just a cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer. How could he resist against so many people? Wasn't that just courting death? What? Lu Ming was stupefied. He had originally planned to rob those people from the great ancient world. He hadn't thought that they would have the same plan. What a coincidence! Lu Ming couldn't help but smile. Not only was it a coincidence, but it also saved him a lot of effort and gave him a good reason to do so. If he was robbed, the people of the Great Sorcerer Shrine wouldn't say anything when they found out. "Little boy, what are you laughing at?" Fang He asked coldly. "Suddenly, a bunch of treasures came to me. What do you think?" Lu Ming asked back. "A bunch of treasures came to you? Little boy, what do you mean?" Fang He asked coldly. "What I mean is very simple. Now, hand over all the comprehensions and imprints you've obtained. Hand them all over to me." Lu Ming said loudly. The crowd quieted down. 50 to 60 pairs of eyes looked at Lu Ming as if he were an idiot. What did Lu Ming say? Was he going to rob them? He was just a piece of trash of the 8th godly emperor layer? Against 50 to 60 great supreme gods? Ha! Many people couldn't help but burst into laughter. Some of them were shaking, some of them were crying. Chapter 41-48. Many people burst into laughter. It was hilarious, wasn't it? A cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer wanted to rob 50 or 60 great supreme gods, and 4 of them had the strength of the 2nd great supreme god layer. They had never heard of such a thing, let alone seen it in person. How could they not laugh in such a situation? Could it be that this little boy didn't know their cultivation level? Boom! Someone released his chi. The chi of the 1st great supreme god layer moved towards Lu Ming like a tidal wave. He wanted to show Lu Ming how strong they were. But Lu Ming didn't move, like a rock. His facial expression didn't change. "I'll give you 3 breaths. If you don't hand over the imprints and the insights, you'll have to hand over your lives." 3, said Lu Ming coldly. The crowd stopped laughing. Lu Ming was actually serious. He was actually counting down for them. 2, said Lu Ming. The faces of Fang He and the others turned cold, revealing a trace of killing intent. "Little boy, I don't care if you're pretending to be crazy or just stalling for time. I'll show you how strong I am," shouted an old man furiously. His body was like a mountain as he moved towards Lu Ming. A terrifying wave of chi tore the space apart. It was a cultivator of the 1st great supreme god layer. However, Lu Ming didn't care about cultivators of the 1st great supreme god layer. Boom! Lu Ming used the battle character formula to increase his fighting strength by 6 times. His body was filled with dazzling lights, making Lu Ming look like a god of war. He threw a punch. The great godly wind technique, the great shattering technique, and the other ancient secret skills exploded at the same time. A vast and boundless fist energy pierced through the air and moved towards the old man of the 1st great supreme god layer. The other party's attack directly collapsed under Lu Ming's fist force and was directly penetrated. Boom! The old man was pushed back. Lu Ming's fist energy had pierced through his body. Only his head was left on the ground, screaming in fear. What? The others were astonished. Lu Ming had killed a cultivator of the 1st great supreme god layer in 1 strike. How strong was that? "I'll give you one more chance. If you don't hand it over, you'll end up like him," Lu Ming coldly shouted. "Let's attack together. I don't believe that a cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer can be that strong," shouted Fang He furiously, releasing the chi of the 2nd great supreme god layer. Apart from Fang He, the other 3 cultivators of the 2nd great supreme god layer also released their chi. The 4 of them were the fastest. They charged towards Lu Ming from 4 different directions. Each of them unleashed a killing move to seal off Lu Ming's escape route. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't have been able to dodge at all. However, Lu Ming had the greater teleportation technique. If he wanted to avoid it, it was very simple. However, Lu Ming had no intention of dodging at all. He was just a cultivator of the 2nd great supreme god layer. Why would he need to dodge? The Bingxian staff had already appeared in Lu Ming's hands. Boundless forbidden energy was crazily pouring into the Bingxian staff. "Bzz. The Bingxian staff emitted buzzing sounds as it flew out. A gigantic staff shadow appeared in the sky. It moved in 4 different directions, aiming at the 4 cultivators of the second great supreme god layer. Boom, 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 boom. There were 4 consecutive explosions, and then 4 horrible shrieks. 4 silhouettes were blown away. It was Fang He and the others. The 4 of them were blown away like meteors. The cultivators of the first great supreme god layer were also rushing towards Lu Ming. They were ready to attack him after the 4 cultivators of the second great supreme god layer had attacked him. Then they would finish him off. They hadn't thought that the 4 cultivators of the second great supreme god layer would be blown away before they could even reach him. They didn't have time to dodge. Then, a large number of cultivators of the first great supreme god layer were blown away, coughing up blood. In a short while, at least a dozen people were seriously injured. The rest of the cultivators of the first great supreme god layer weren't blown away, but they were scared out of their wits. They released their strength crazily, not to attack, but to stop themselves from moving forward. Then, they moved back, trying to put some distance between them and Lu Ming. They were terrified. If you want to run away, you'll die first. Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. The next moment, his figure had already appeared in another direction. There were a few people running the fastest in that direction, but Lu Ming directly appeared in front of the few people who were running the fastest and attacked with the mysterious ice rod. Ping, ping. Those cultivators of the first great supreme god layer exploded and died on the spot. Only a few rings were left, which Lu Ming grabbed. The others didn't dare move. They stopped in the air and looked at Lu Ming in fright. Great teleportation technique. They recognized it. It was one of the top 100 secret techniques of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Unless they were much stronger than Lu Ming, they couldn't compete with Lu Ming in terms of speed. They couldn't run away. How could they dare run away? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. One of the old men roared. I'll give it to you too. I'll give it to you too. With one of them having their mental defenses broken, the others were in a much simpler state. They all expressed that they would hand over the insights and imprints left behind by the experts of the archaic divine court. Come one by one. Don't try anything funny. If I find out, you'll die miserably, said Lu Ming coldly. Then, one by one, the celestial thearchs stepped forward obediently and handed over the insights and imprints left behind by the experts of the ancient divine court. Even though treasures were precious, they were more important than their own lives. Lin Feng put them in a ring. He didn't care if there were any duplicates. However, Lu Ming knew that there would be duplicates. After all, some of the treasures were from the same ancient secret technique. However, he didn't have time to distinguish them. It wouldn't be too late to do so later. What about you guys? Finally, Lu Ming looked at the ground. Fang He and the others were still lying there, pretending to be dead. Damn it. Why is this kid so abnormal? No, I heard that this kid has a lot of treasures. Could it be that someone deliberately gave it to me? Did they suffer because of this kid? Did I fall into a trap? Fang He roared in his heart. However, he had lived for a long time and was very meticulous. He quickly thought of something and almost vomited blood. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was that someone deliberately leaked the information to him. The purpose was to kill him with a borrowed knife. He immediately thought of the skinny old man. Damn it. Damn it. Fang He kept roaring in his heart. His face was distorted. Bang. A foot accurately stepped on Fang He's face, causing Fang He's face to be heavily pressed against the ground. This foot naturally belonged to Lu Ming. Chapter 41-49. Lu Ming stepped on Fang He's face with one foot and looked down at him. He said coldly, "Look at your ferocious face. Are you unconvinced and want to take revenge on me? Then I'll have to send you on your way." No, it's a misunderstanding. I'm not unconvinced. Fang He was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly begged for mercy, afraid that Lu Ming would misunderstand him again. "I'm willing to hand over all my insights and imprints," Fang He shouted as he handed his storage ring to Lu Ming. "At least you know what's good for you." Lu Ming waved his hand and took Fang He's storage ring. Fang He was tongue-tied. He wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. He wailed in his heart. He really wanted to shout, "I just want to give you the insights and imprints left behind by the experts of the Archean Divine Court. I didn't want to give you the entire storage ring. You take the insights and imprints and return the storage ring to me." However, when he saw Lu Ming's cold eyes, he swallowed his words. He really didn't dare to say it. He was afraid that if he opened his mouth, Lu Ming would be annoyed and beat him to death. His heart was bleeding. Lu Ming had already started to collect the insights and imprints of the others. Soon, the insights and imprints of the 50 to 60 people were all collected by Lu Ming. "Let's find the others," Lu Ming muttered. He moved and left to continue looking for the other experts of the Archean Divine Court. "Stop right there." Not long after, Lu Ming met a dozen people. Coincidentally, the leader was the skinny old man. "Hand over all your insights and imprints," Lu Ming said coldly. "Young hero, our insights and imprints have been taken away by others." "I can swear on my life origin," the skinny old man said. "They've been taken away by others." Lu Ming frowned. He didn't bother to pay attention to the skinny old man and the others and left directly. As soon as Lu Ming left, the skinny old man immediately revealed a happy expression. "Haha, it seems that Fong He has already met this person. Most likely he won't be able to keep the insights and imprints on him. If I can't get them, you can forget about getting them either." Ha! The skinny old man laughed heartily, feeling extremely carefree. How would Lu Ming know about these trivial matters? Next, he kept looking for the experts of the great ancient world and made them, obediently, hand over the insights and imprints left behind by the experts of the primordial divine court. The strongest cultivators of the ancient divine court had the strength of the second great supreme god layer. They couldn't compete with Lu Ming when he used his full strength. In order to survive, they had no choice but to obediently hand over their knowledge and imprints to Lu Ming. After making a big round, Lu Ming had a bountiful harvest, and a satisfied smile hung on his face. On the other side, the same thing was happening in the 3 dojos of the ancient sorcerer divine temple. Yu led the core disciples of the heavenly human tribe and the heavenly palace to suppress the experts of the archaic world and take their insights and imprints. Facing Yu and the others, the experts of the archaic world had no choice but to hand them over. At this moment, Yu suddenly looked up into the sky. Boom boom boom. There was a deep rumbling sound in the sky, which startled everyone. Everyone couldn't help but look up. Lu Ming and the others also noticed the strange phenomenon in the sky and looked up. Everyone's pupils shrank. Amidst the haze, they seemed to see a palace appear. Previously, they had looked up into the sky, but it was white and covered by clouds. They couldn't see anything. They hadn't expected to see a palace appear. Could it be the 7th dojo, the main dojo? At that moment, the same thought emerged in everyone's minds. According to the records of the Sorcerer Divine Temple, there were a total of 7 dojos in the Great Ancient Dojo. There were 6 ordinary dojos and 1 main dojo. The ordinary dojos were where the ordinary experts of the archaic divine court went to preach and gain insights. The main dojo was where the most powerful experts of the archaic divine court went to preach and gain insights. It was the true core of the great ancient divine court and was no small matter. They hadn't noticed it before and thought that there was a mistake in the records of the Sorcerer Divine Temple. Now it seemed that the main dojo had been hidden in the sky and had finally appeared. The deep rumbling sound in the sky became more and more obvious, and the appearance of the palace became more and more obvious. It was different from the 6 peaks below them. The one in the sky wasn't a peak, but a real palace. It was a huge palace. At this moment, someone moved. He shot up into the sky and rushed toward the palace in the sky. Once someone moved, the others immediately followed suit, including Lu Ming. Everyone was like a shooting star as they rushed toward the palace in the sky. However, after they flew up for a while, their speed quickly slowed down. The reason for that was because they felt an enormous pressure pressing down on them. The pressure came from the palace in the sky. The closer they got to the palace, the stronger the pressure. At this time, the difference in their cultivations was obvious. Those with lower cultivation and weaker abilities slowed down and fell behind the others. Those with higher cultivation and stronger abilities slowed down a lot, but they were still getting closer to the palace. Lu Ming was one of the people who was getting closer to the palace. Lu Ming's forbidden energy covered his body and a layer of dazzling light shrouded his body. He activated the archaic secret skill and slashed upward with his palm like a knife. Kaboom! A strong force blasted out and collided with the pressure above. It broke through the pressure, allowing Lu Ming to continue flying upward. However, the closer he got to the palace, the greater the pressure. Behind him, it wasn't as simple as the pressure. Lu Ming felt a bone-piercing chill pouring down from above. It was like a wave rushing toward them. The cultivators of the first great supreme god layer of the archaic world coughed up blood and fell down. They weren't able to block the wave of energy. The cultivators of the second great supreme god layer used their full strength to attack. They broke through the wave of energy and continued flying upward. At the same time, Lu Ming realized that not far away, there was a golden light. It was the other first-class celestial soldiers. Those first-class celestial soldiers activated their first-class celestial soldier battle armor to block the wave of energy. Lu Ming also activated his first-class celestial soldier battle armor to block the wave of energy. He continued flying upward. However, the more he flew upward, the stronger the wave of energy became. Behind him, the cultivators of the second great supreme god layer of the archaic world were getting slower and slower. They couldn't stop trembling under the pressure. After a while, a cultivator of the second great supreme god layer couldn't take it anymore. He coughed up blood and fell down. Chapter 4150. The cultivators of the second great supreme god layer couldn't bear it anymore and started falling down. After the first cultivator of the second great supreme god layer couldn't bear it anymore, the other cultivators of the second great supreme god layer couldn't bear it either. They kept falling down, their bodies covered by a layer of ice. The power that surged down from above was filled with a bone-piercing chill, as if it could freeze everything. At that moment, the first-class celestial soldiers also took out their weapons and started attacking. However, some of the weaker first-class celestial soldiers couldn't bear it anymore. For example, there were first-class celestial soldiers of the 7th and 8th godly emperor layer. There weren't many first-class celestial soldiers at that level. After a while, they couldn't bear it anymore and fell down. It was like sailing against the current. If you didn't advance, you would fall back. The further they went, the fewer people there were. On Lu Ming's side, only Lu Ming and 30 first-class celestial soldiers were left. Those first-class celestial soldiers all had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. They were all extremely strong. Only Lu Ming had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer. On the other side, on the side of the ancient sorcerer shrine, the strong cultivators of the ancient sorcerer shrine had all been eliminated. Only the celestial human clan and the core disciples of the heavenly palace were left. Although they didn't have first-class celestial armors, the armors they wore were no small matter. They had the same effect as first-class celestial armors. They could also block the energy coming from above. Adding on the fact that they were in control of great killing weapons, they were able to continuously charge up at an extremely fast speed. Just like that, another moment passed. We're almost there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. They were already very close to the palace. They could already see the edge of it. Lu Ming used his full strength, wanting to fly up from one side of the palace. The others did the same. All kinds of powerful weapons were fired out, piercing through that power and opening up a path. After a few minutes, they finally reached the top of the palace. It's a public square. As soon as they reached the top of the palace, Lu Ming glanced around. They landed on a gigantic public square made of white jade. However, Lu Ming knew that it wasn't ordinary white jade. Ordinary white jade couldn't have been preserved for so many years. There were many strange statues around the public square. Those statues had different shapes. Some looked like beasts, some looked like humans. In the middle of the public square, there was a flight of stairs leading up to a palace. Other than these, the square stretched as far as the eye could see and was completely empty. There was nothing else. There were no imprints or insights. Imprints and insights. Lu Ming took a step forward and dashed toward the staircase. In the process of dashing out, his expression changed. This was because he could not fly at all here. There was a strong pressure suppressing him from the outside. How could the other first-rate heavenly soldier fall behind? They all rushed towards the staircase. When they got closer, Lu Ming realized that it wasn't a flight of stairs at all. The other 3 directions of the stairs also had stairs leading up. Bang! Lu Ming stepped on the stairs without any abnormalities. Lu Ming relaxed a little. He had experienced too many different stairs in the past. Many of those stairs were filled with all kinds of tests. Only those with great strength and talent could climb up. Therefore, when he saw the stairs, he subconsciously thought that there was some kind of test. In the end, he realized that he was overthinking. It was just an ordinary flight of stairs. Lu Ming increased his speed and continued to climb. Soon he reached the end of the stairs. It was a huge platform. The other 31st-class heavenly soldiers also climbed up. But as soon as they came up, their expressions changed. That was because a group of people appeared opposite them. They were the dozen or so people from the heavenly human tribe and the core disciples of the heavenly palace. It's them. The expressions of the 31st-class heavenly soldiers changed drastically. The other party naturally saw them. Mu Yun. It's that kid. Many cold gazes were directed at Lu Ming. Most of them were from the heavenly human tribe. Especially a few of them who had been defeated by Lu Ming and driven away by Lu Ming. All of you stop right there. A loud shout was heard. Then, a powerful aura locked onto Lu Ming and the others. In a flash, the dozen or so sky prides of the heavenly human tribe and the core disciples of the heavenly palace rushed toward Lu Ming and the others. Very good. Looks like you've joined the Grand Magus Temple. That's just right. Yu nodded, a strange light flashing in her eyes. The 31st-class heavenly soldiers were a little confused. They had cooperated with the Grand Magus Temple, while Yu and the others had cooperated with the Ancient Sorcerer Temple. They had thought that Yu would go crazy when he saw them, but he said, "That's just right." What did that mean? We can't go to the other 3 of the 6 ordinary dojos, so we can't get the insights and seals there. But you came from there and brought the insights and seals here. Very good, very good. Now, give me your insights and seals. Then, you can go back the way you came. Yu continued to speak. Her voice was still calm, but it was full of unquestionable authority. The faces of the 31st-class heavenly soldiers darkened. They finally understood what Yu meant by, "That's just right." It turned out that they had brought the insights and seals of the other 3 dojos. It was very good. Young Master Yu, you're going too far. We entered the great ancient world to find our own opportunities. If you found any opportunities, we would never snatch them from you. But we found them ourselves. You're going too far if you want to take them away like this. Yes, we would never dare to go against you. Since young Master Yu has found this place, we'll leave now. But our previous gains don't conflict with young Master Yu's. The sky prides of the top 10 clans spoke one after another. Nonsense. Who do you think you are? What right do you have to negotiate with us? A cold shout interrupted the first-class heavenly soldiers. It was Yi Er, who had been defeated by Lu Ming and had retreated. That's right. We let you in this time to assist us. You want to take away the opportunities here? How naive. Another sky pride of the heavenly human tribe said. When we came in, the big shots of the heavenly palace didn't say that to us. They said that the opportunities in the great ancient world belong to us. They didn't say that we're here to assist you. A young man shouted. He was from the demon tribe, one of the top 10 clans. Chapter 4151. Shouted one of the demon kings. The demon clan was hot-tempered. He couldn't take it anymore. If it weren't for the fact that he was from the heavenly human clan, he would have slapped anyone who dared talk to him like that. How dare you disobey us? Yell shouted and stepped out. His body was enveloped by a strange power. Then, he turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed towards the demon lord's genius, pressing down with his palm. The demon clan's genius expression changed drastically. He shouted furiously, "Don't think I'm afraid of you." At the same time, Demon Chi dashed to the sky and turned into a demon fist. Boom! Their attacks collided and there was a loud explosion. Then, a silhouette was pushed back. It was the demon clan's genius. He coughed up blood. One of his fists had exploded. His entire arm had almost exploded. In the face of Yale, he was completely crushed. That was normal. They were both at the top of the 9th godly emperor layer, but the demon clan's genius could only fight against opponents who were 4 cultivation levels higher than him, while Yale could fight against opponents who were 5 cultivation levels higher than him. The difference between their fighting abilities was too great. So strong. The other first-class celestial soldiers gasped. They knew how strong the demon clan's genius was. He was one of the candidates for the Universe Young Geniuses list. He was extremely strong. Once he broke through to the Great Supreme God layer, he would be able to challenge the Universe Young Geniuses list. Such an existence couldn't even withstand a single strike from Yale when they were at the same level. It was simply too terrifying. Was that the strength of the Heavenly Human Clan? Demon Clan? Hee, the top 10 clans are slaves to the Heavenly Human Clan. Do you understand? You can act high and mighty in front of other clans, but in front of us, you can only lower your heads. Now kneel down and kowtow to me. If you admit your mistakes, I'll spare your life. Yale's haughty voice rang out. His gaze swept across everyone. Everyone who was swept by his gaze had an extremely ugly expression. At the end of his sentence, Yale's gaze returned to the demon race's prodigy. Don't even think about it, shouted the demon clan's genius furiously. His demon chi enveloped him and his body swelled up. He looked ferocious. He activated the first-grade celestial soldier armor on his body. At the same time, a pitch-black demonic saber appeared in his hand. This was his killing weapon. If he couldn't fight the other party with his true strength, then he would rely on his great killing weapon and the first-grade celestial soldier battle armor. With the first-grade celestial soldier battle armor, he would be invincible. He didn't believe that Yale's attacks could reach the 3rd great supreme god layer. Stubborn fool, you're courting death. Seeing that the prodigy of the demon race still dared to resist, Yi felt that his dignity was being challenged. His face was extremely dark, and cold murderous intent burst out from his eyes. A jade talisman appeared in his hand. Upon seeing this jade talisman, the demon prodigy roared, "Forbidden weapon domain talisman." After saying that, he retreated rapidly, trying to escape. "It's too late to leave now," said Yutler coldly. He pinched the forbidden weapon domain talisman in his hand and a formless energy spread out, enveloping everyone, including the demon race's genius. The instant the demon race's genius was enveloped by the forbidden weapon domain, the first-grade celestial soldier battle armor on his body instantly dimmed. It shrank and disappeared into his body. At the same time, he lost the connection to the great killing weapon in his hand. He couldn't use it anymore. Yi took a step forward and appeared above the demon race's genius. He used his finger as a sword and slashed down. This sword was extremely powerful and filled with murderous intent. It was extremely terrifying. The demon race's genius roared and used all his strength to block it. However, in the Divine Emperor realm, a difference of 1 great supreme god layer was huge. It could be easily killed. Blood splattered everywhere as a head flew off. It was the head of the demon race's genius. Ye was holding it in his hand. "Spare me! Spare me! I know I was wrong." The demon race's genius wasn't dead yet. His soul was still there. In the face of death, the demon race's genius was finally afraid. He screamed in fear and started begging for mercy. "I said, it's too late to beg for mercy now," said Yi coldly as he exerted force with his hand. With a loud bang, the sky pride of the demon race's head exploded. Naturally, the soul inside dissipated into thin air. A top monster who had a chance of entering the Universe Prodigy list in the future was killed just like that. At the scene, the other first-class celestial soldiers' faces were extremely ugly. They felt very aggrieved. Yes, aggrieved. Out of everyone present, which one of them wasn't a peerless prodigy with a boundless future? Which one of them wasn't dazzling like the moon surrounded by stars? But now, in front of the heavenly human tribe, they felt like grandsons. But at the same time, they were also frightened. The heavenly human race was too strong. They couldn't fight against them at all. Do you see that? This is the result of disobeying us. Who dares to resist? Yi Er's cold gaze swept across the scene. At the same time, the other heavenly human race's geniuses exuded powerful auras. All the first-class celestial soldiers felt a chill in their hearts. No one dared to say a word. Even the Battle Saint tribe's geniuses, who were famous for their battle prowess, didn't dare to say a word. The heavenly human race's reputation was too deep and they were too strong. Yi Er obviously wasn't the strongest person in the heavenly human race. Yi was obviously the leader of the heavenly human race. If he wasn't the strongest, how strong would the strongest person be? Even if they attacked together, it would be dangerous. Since none of you have any objections, then hand over the insights and imprints on your body. As long as you hand them over, you can leave safely. But, as Yi Er spoke until here, he looked at Lu Ming. Cold, killing intent erupted from him as he said coldly, as long as the others hand over their insights and imprints, they can leave. Only you can't leave. There's only one outcome for you and that's death. Oh, with just you, a loser? Lu Ming smiled faintly. How could it be so easy to kill him? You? Yi Er glared at Lu Ming. You guys can play by yourselves. It has nothing to do with me. Goodbye. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he turned around and left. On the right side of the platform, there was a wide staircase that went all the way up. Above that was the palace. Lu Ming walked towards the staircase. This scene caused the faces of all the heavenly human race to turn gloomy. Lu Ming actually dared to ignore them. This was simply disgraceful. Want to leave? Stay here. A burly heavenly human race's genius bellowed. His figure was like a gust of wind as he pounced towards Lu Ming. His claws were like hooks, grabbing towards Lu Ming's head. As his claws swiped past, the space was like a piece of paper that had decayed for thousands of years, turning into ashes. What terrifying strength! The moment an expert made a move, one would know if he was strong or not. The moment this heavenly human race's genius made a move, he displayed terrifying combat strength. Everyone felt that this person's combat strength was stronger than Yi Er's. Chapter 4152. The first-class heavenly soldiers present were all shocked. This burly heavenly human youth had only unleashed a simple attack, but his terrifying battle prowess was fully displayed. He gave off the feeling that he was even more powerful than Yi. Terrifying. The heavenly human tribe was indeed terrifying. A genius of this level was rare among the billions of races in the untainted universe. But any one of the heavenly human tribe was so terrifying. The heavenly human tribe was even more mysterious and terrifying in their hearts. He's so powerful. Can Mu Yun block it? The thought flashed through everyone's mind. Yale was the only one who was shocked. He quickly shouted, "Be careful, don't be careless." But it was too late. Lu Ming had already made his move. Boom! Lu Ming's body was shrouded in dazzling light. He threw out a punch and collided with the burly young man's claw. It was as if divine thunder had exploded. Crack! Then, the sound of bones breaking resounded throughout the area. Then the figure was pushed back. Gasps could be heard from the scene. The pupils of the first-class heavenly soldier widened, revealing deep shock. The one who was sent flying was naturally the burly young man from the heavenly human tribe. Not only was he sent flying, but his claw was also deformed. It was obvious that his bones were broken. Terrifying. The burly young man from the heavenly human tribe was absolutely terrifying. He was at least a peerless genius who could fight with someone 5 levels higher than him. He was even stronger than Yale. But he was injured by Lu Ming with one move and his bones were broken. Lu Ming's cultivation was 1 level lower than his opponent's. This kind of combat strength was really terrifying. Not only the first-class heavenly soldiers, but the core disciples of the heavenly palace and the other young men from the heavenly human tribe were also shocked. A mere human actually has such combat strength. Good, very good. The one who spoke was Yi Yu. There was a fiery glow in his eyes as he stared at Lu Ming and said, "Your combat power is not bad. I'll give you a chance now. Submit to me and follow me in the future. I'll give you unimaginable power and status." The stronger Lu Ming was, the more Yi Yu wanted to subdue him. As long as he subdued Lu Ming would become his sharp sword in the future, fighting for him and conquering the world for him. To be honest, although there were many geniuses who sought refuge with him, none of them had the talent and battle prowess of Lu Ming. As soon as Yi Yu said this, many people revealed looks of envy and jealousy, including some of the heavenly human tribe. What kind of honor was it to be valued so highly by Yi Yu? What kind of opportunity was this? They couldn't ask for it even if they wanted to. Just when everyone thought that Lu Ming would definitely agree, Lu Ming smiled calmly and said, "Not interested." After saying that, he turned around and continued to walk up. Well, everyone else was stunned. What did they hear? Lu Ming actually refused. Lu Ming actually rejected such an enviable opportunity and good fortune without even thinking? Yi Yu's expression instantly darkened. A murderous intent flashed across his eyes as he said, "You'd better reconsider." "There's no need to reconsider." Lu Ming waved his hand and didn't even look back. Arrogant. Ignorant. Disgraceful. Such a person can't be allowed to live. Cold voices rang out from the core disciples of the heavenly human tribe and the heavenly palace. At the same time, powerful auras burst out and locked onto Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming turned around and looked in a direction. There were 4 young women standing side by side there. They were graceful and beautiful, and each of them was unparalleled. These 4 were the 4 disciples of the Lord of Heaven from the Great Dream Realm. At this time, they had already removed the Great Dream power and revealed their true appearances. Autumn Moon really isn't here. Lu Ming shook his head slightly. Autumn Moon wasn't among the 4 of them. Obviously, Autumn Moon didn't enter the archaic world this time. "You don't have to do anything. I'll do it." An extremely cold voice rang out. It was from Yi Yu. His face was calm, but a cold light flashed in his eyes, causing the surrounding temperature to drop sharply. Beside Yi Yu, a few young men from the heavenly human tribe couldn't help but shudder. Those who knew Yi Yu knew that this was a sign that Yi Yu was extremely angry. Every time this happened, someone would end up in a miserable state. As soon as Yi Yu finished speaking, he disappeared from where he stood. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Lu Ming and pressed his palm down on Lu Ming. So fast. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Yi Yu didn't use the great shift technique. He didn't move directly in front of him, but because his speed was so fast, it looked like he was teleporting. Without thinking, Lu Ming threw out a punch with all his might. The fist and palm collided. Boom. Heaven and earth shook violently as a destructive force swept out in all directions. The surrounding people's faces changed drastically as they frantically retreated. Those who retreated too slowly turned pale and spat out a mouthful of blood. What a terrifying strength! At that moment, Lu Ming's body was shaking violently. He could sense that Yi Yu's palm was filled with a terrifying strength that could topple mountains and overturn seas. In the end, Lu Ming was pushed back a dozen steps before he managed to stabilize himself. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Just like when Lu Ming had fought against the tall and sturdy young man from the heavenly human tribe, the situation was completely reversed. This time, it was Lu Ming who had been injured in one attack. That Yi Yu is extremely strong. He's a godly emperor and can fight against people who are at least 6 cultivation levels higher than him. Lu Ming's expression was unprecedentedly grave. Yi Yu was terrifyingly strong. Even though he only had the strength of the top of the 9th godly emperor layer, his fighting abilities were terrifying. Lu Ming guessed that Yi Yu could fight against people who were at least 6 cultivation levels higher than him. Lu Ming had never seen such a monstrous cultivator. It was the first time. He had never seen such a powerful genius before. Whether it was Di Jenny, Dark Knight Rose, or the other monstrous cultivators, none of them were as strong as Yi Yu. In the godly emperor layer, one could fight against people who were at least 6 cultivation levels higher than him. Fortunately, Lu Ming had recently used the Blessings Tower to cultivate more than 5,000 secret skills to strengthen his forbidden strength. Otherwise, Lu Ming would not have been able to defeat Yi Yu if they were at the same cultivation level. Even so, Lu Ming was not completely confident that he could defeat Yi Yu if they were at the same cultivation level. Who knew if Yi Yu had used his full strength? The heavenly human tribe was terrifying. "Submit and follow me or die," shouted Yi Yu coldly. His eyes were extremely cold as he walked towards Lu Ming. "You're just one cultivation level higher than me. Do you think you can defeat me if we're at the same cultivation level?" shouted Lu Ming. He then turned around and left. Yi Yu's fighting abilities were obviously above his. In addition, there were so many geniuses from the heavenly human tribe and the core disciples from the heavenly palace. If they continued to fight, it would be disadvantageous for him. Lu Ming ran up the stairs. Chapter 4153. Lu Ming ran up the stairs. "How could Yi Yu let him go? You want to leave? Say." Yi Yu shouted coldly and chased after Lu Ming. Yi Yu's speed was amazing, but Lu Ming was not slow either. Lu Ming covered his body with the great godly wind technique. He was as fast as lightning, not slower than Yi Yu. The two of them rushed up the stairs. Chase. The other core disciples of the heavenly human tribe and the heavenly palace quickly chased after Lu Ming. As for those first-rate heavenly soldiers, they looked at each other and then all of them flew back and retreated. The core disciples of the heavenly human tribe and the heavenly palace had forgotten about them because of Lu Ming. Why were they still here? They should leave quickly. They did not want to comprehend and imprint. Damn it. When Yi Yu and the rest sensed that the first-grade heavenly soldiers had fled, they roared furiously in their hearts. They then shifted their anger to Lu Ming. If it were not for Lu Ming, would things have turned out this way? How could they let those first-class heavenly soldiers escape? It was all Lu Ming's fault. They naturally did not think that it was because they had provoked Lu Ming first that things had turned out this way. In their hearts, what they did was right and right. Therefore, they did not have the concept of wrong at all. They wanted Lu Ming to pay the price. The two sides, one chasing and one fleeing, were very fast. Soon they reached the end of the stairs. At the end of the stairs, Lu Ming could not help but stare. At the end of the stairs was also a platform, but this platform was different from the one below. The ground of this platform was covered with futons. At a glance, there were at least thousands of futons. At the very front of these praying mats, there was a huge stone wall. This stone wall was very large. It was rectangular and about 1,000 meters high, but it was tens of thousands of meters long and dozens of meters thick. It was hard to tell what kind of stone it was, but it gave off an ancient feeling. What made Lu Ming unable to move his eyes away the most was that the stone wall was covered with densely packed carvings. These carvings were grotesquely shaped and had all kinds of shapes. Some of them were just random scratches, as if they had been left by a sword. Some of them looked like saber marks, while others looked like palm prints or fist prints. These were all relatively simple carvings. Some of the carvings were much more complicated. Some looked like a fierce tiger, some looked like a divine dragon, some looked like a burning flame, or a whistling gale. There were at least 1,000 types of them. Ancient secret technique. These were all comprehensions and imprints related to the grand ancient secret technique. Needless to say, these were all left behind by the experts of the grand ancient divine court. This was the true place to preach and comprehend the Tao. From the futons on the ground, it could be inferred that in the distant past, the experts of the grand ancient divine court would preach and occasionally engrave their comprehensions on the stone wall. Below, many disciples of the grand ancient divine court would sit cross-legged on the futons and listen to the teachings. Or they could comprehend the grand ancient secret technique from the stone wall. I'm rich. Lu Ming's heart immediately became hot, and his eyes were filled with a fiery light. With so many comprehensions and secret techniques left behind by the grand ancient divine court, how many grand ancient secret techniques could he exchange for? If he took them to the heavenly palace, how many merit points and treasures would he be able to exchange for? At this moment, Yi Yu also came to the top of the stairs. He was also shocked by the scene in front of him. These comprehensions and imprints left behind by the experts of the grand ancient divine court are all mine. Yi Yu roared in his heart, and his eyes were filled with greed. At this moment, Lu Ming moved. He directly rushed towards the stone wall. "Kid, you're courting death!" Yi Yu shouted coldly and rushed towards Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming first before taking the stone wall. Here, except for Lu Ming, no one dared to disobey him. However, Just as Lu Ming dashed out for a distance, he was suddenly shocked. There was an inexplicable sense of crisis in his heart. Then, one of the praying mats in front of him actually transformed into a ferocious tiger. With a roar, it pounced toward him. The wind was extinguished, and its sharp claws scratched at Lu Ming's head. Its power was very shocking. It was definitely at the Divine Emperor realm, and not an ordinary one. Lu Ming did not hesitate and activated the first-class celestial soldier armor. A layer of light shrouded his body. Crack! The fierce tiger's claws scratched the first-class celestial soldier armor, and there was an ear-piercing sound. Although it did not break through the armor's defense, Lu Ming's body was blocked. Behind him, Yi Yu had already caught up. He struck out with his palm and bombarded the first-class celestial soldier armor. The first-class celestial soldier armor shook violently, but it was blocked. "Watch me break your celestial soldier armor," Yi Yu shouted coldly. A silver spear appeared in his palm, emitting a terrifying wave. A great killing weapon. This was definitely a great killing weapon, and a terrifying one at that. Yi Yu activated the silver spear, emitting a terrifying wave. Just as he was about to attack Lu Ming again, the other futons around them also changed. Some of these futons turned into giant wolves, some into divine dragons, and some into giant birds. As for some of them, they transformed into humanoid living beings. They held swords in their hands and charged toward them. In an instant, at least 10 figures charged towards Lu Ming and Yi Yu. These creatures were very powerful. Lu Ming and Yi Yu felt a sense of danger and did not dare to be careless. Lu Ming took out the zephyr bead. Strong winds whistled out from the zephyr bead, rushing forward and colliding with these creatures. With a loud rumble, these creatures were blocked by the strong winds. However, the strong winds shook violently and were almost destroyed. Yi did not continue to attack Lu Ming. The long robe on his body emitted a layer of light, enveloping him. The long robe on his body was similar to a celestial soldier armor. Its defensive power was amazing, even stronger than a first-class celestial soldier armor. At the same time, he brandished the long spear in his hand. Numerous spear shadows shot out, knocking away the living beings formed by the prayer mats. However, at this time, the other futons around them also changed. At least a few thousand futons had all turned into creatures of different forms. In fact, these futons could not be called creatures. They should be a kind of imprint. For the time being, they were called creatures. Thousands of creatures all looked at Lu Ming and Yi Yu. At the same time, the other prodigies of the heavenly human tribe and the core disciples of the heavenly palace also arrived. When they saw this scene, their expressions changed. "Come here and help me stop these creatures. I will kill Mu Yun," Yi Yu shouted.